حالا اگر سوالی چیزی داشته باشید در خدمتتون هستم برای پاسخگویی به سوالات. خب من بیشتر وقت جلسه رو نمیگیرم و جلسه رو می‌سپارم به شما خانم قاسمخانی. من کل جلسه هستم، اگه سوالی چیزی داشتین در خدمتتون هستم.
خیلی ممنون، مرسی. سلام به همگی. I hope you don't mind که من فارسیم خوبه ولی آنچنان خوب نیستش که بتونم تمام وقت رو به فارسی بگم. بیشترش رو به انگلیسی میگم و اگر سوالی چیزی داشتین بعدا میتونین دوباره ازم بپرسین. I created an agenda. I've actually done this for Parse a couple of times now. I've been recruiting for over 14, 15 years and in multiple different industries with multiple different expertise that I'm looking for. And definitely this time around, I feel that it's become a very big challenge, especially for new grads or people starting off out of school or coming from another country. It's become a lot more challenging for them to look for a job. So this agenda and what I'm going to go through today with you is something I've shared with Parse Equality Center people before, and I've done a couple of workshops on this, but a lot of this pertains to exactly what's going on right now, but then we can also discuss other techniques and strategies to use while navigating through COVID. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is share my screen. And I'm going to go ahead and start this presentation. Okay, great. Can you see everything? Everybody see everything?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And please, if you have any questions, I know it's a little bit different. It's different when we're on Zoom. So if maybe we could wait till the end or so whenever I ask anybody has any questions, they can ask it then. So what we're going to discuss is basically your resume, what you should and you should not be on your resume, your job search, utilizing the job boards that are out there right now, networking. This is something that I think that we're going to have to spend a lot more time on more than ever before, and that is networking within LinkedIn, within universities, within any organizations that we have any sort of connection with. And then we're going to also talk about, if God willing, you get an interview, how to do an interview these days. Salary negotiations is another big piece of this as well, because lots of organizations right now are reducing salaries for their current employees. And then at the end, we'll also talk about, have a question and answer session. So let's talk about your resume. What are some of the do's and don'ts of your resume? So what do you want to do is you want to keep your resume short and sweet, be truthful, because every organization that you're going to go work for, they will do a background check. They will go through your resume and verify where you've been, where you've worked, do the dates match up. Now, later on, I will share with you a good resume and a not so great resume, so you can take a look and see what the standard should look like. Then what you want to do on your resume is you want to list your responsibilities and your accomplishments. You want to make sure that you include your contact information, and then include closed and contract companies on your resume. I've seen more and more time and time again resumes that come to me where the person's only been working for 5 years, and all of a sudden you look at their resume and they have 10 jobs on there. And for a recruiter looking at this to me would look like somebody who's not looking to stay for long-term in a company. But if they write down next to it, for instance, the company was closed, or this was a contract position, or there was a reason for you leaving, that would make a lot more sense and tells a story as to why you left your job. Include job-related certificates. For instance, if you have a real estate license and you are looking for an engineering job, you probably don't want to put your real estate license or your certificate there. So you want to put things on your resume that pertain to the job you're looking for. Print and proofread and share it with your friends. I cannot emphasize this more and more time and time again. When you stare at your resume and you're constantly working on it, because your resume is a living thing, You're always updating it. You're always working on it. You become so used to it. Your eyes get used to it, to the verbiage, to the way it looks. But when you print it out, you take a look at it and see if things are not aligned. And then if you share it with a friend or with a spouse or someone that's close to you and get their honest opinion and doesn't make sense, it's going to make you that much stronger when you submit your resume. Job search and networking. This is a big piece here because you have to be very active these days when you're looking for a job. Very seldomly is a job going to find you these days. You're going to have to go and find that job for yourself. And ways of finding it are on LinkedIn, are on Indeed job boards, Monster, Career Builder, ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn. I've noticed a lot that Career Builder and Monster are posting jobs that are more contract related. That might be a really good option for most of you out there right now when you haven't found a job yet, to take anything you can, even if it's a contract, temporarily, so you can get your foot in the door. Do not include your personal address on your resume. And the reason why I say that is because when you put your resume online out there in cyberspace, anybody and everybody can have access to it. So you don't want to have someone who's dishonest finding out where you live. When you do apply for the job, though, and you upload your resume, they're always going to ask you for your address and your street address, your city, and your state. That is fine. You put that information in your application, but it's not necessary on your resume. So you would want to put your city and your state, or your county and your state only. Network on LinkedIn. What you want to do is you want to create a very strong profile. Market yourself, because what you're doing is you are selling your expertise out there to the industry. You want people to see your LinkedIn and say, wow, this is someone I want to hire. And as a recruiter, that I live in LinkedIn. I search for candidates all day, 24 hours in LinkedIn. And when I have a great candidate with a great profile, usually that's the one I'm going to reach out to, as opposed to somebody who's just put a couple of lines on their profile. And then I'll share it with you, my profile as well. And if anyone would like to add me to their LinkedIn and then share your profile with me, I can take a look at it and give you some advice if you want some. And then for interviews, what you want to do is, hopefully if you do get our interview, and we'll get to this as well, is you want to make sure that you're well prepared when you go into an interview. You want to do as much research as possible on the company, so when you are speaking to them, you have a good reason as to why you're there. You just don't say, if someone asks you, tell me why you're here, why are you interested in us? You just don't want to say, I need a job. You want to say why you're interested in them. You want to talk about the company. You want to talk about the company's accomplishments and why you want to be a part of that organization and grow with them. You always want to have 3 copies of your resume. Now, during the time before COVID, this was something that, we practiced. We would go in face to face. We would meet with hiring managers, and we would do interviews. We would meet a multiple group of people, maybe have panel interviews. But more and more now, most employers are only doing Skype interviews or Zoom interviews, and they are making decisions without having anyone come in for the interview. So that's been a huge change in the industry, which a lot of managers don't like, but unfortunately, it's the sign of the times. And when you do a Skype interview or any sort of a FaceTime interview, you want to make sure that you treat it just like a face-to-face interview. You want to make sure that you're dressed professionally, you look professional, and make sure that when you are doing the interview, practice. Look and see what your background looks like. Look and see how much noise is coming through, what the lighting looks like. How well do you look on that screen? Because that will make a difference. It just basically shows that you worked at it, you cared enough to prepare. And then practice your interviewing skills with your friends, with your family members. Practice as to why you want to be at that company, why they should hire you and not the 5 other people that they're interviewing. So you want to make sure that you answer that question for yourself. Prepare them to tell them about yourself. When someone says, tell me about yourself, you don't want to tell them, You know, a lot of people think, okay, I'll just get in there and I'll say, you know, I'm a wife and I've got 2 children. My husband and I have been married for 30 years. I live in this town. That's not what they're looking for. What they say when they say, tell me about yourself, they want to know about your career, about your experiences. You want to start off with, you know, I graduated with my bachelor's degree from UCLA in electrical engineering. After school, I interned for such and such place, and then I went here and there. And these are the greatest things that I learned throughout my career. And that is why now I am here interviewing with you, so I can add value with my skills to your company. Make sure that you close strong. A lot of the times people think closing is just for salespeople, and it's not. It's for everybody. And what does closing mean? Closing means that you want to finish the interview by telling the person that you're interviewing with that I am interested in this job. This is the job that should be mine, and tell them why. And ask them, what are the next steps? When can I look forward to hearing from you all? And make sure at the end that you do send a nice email thanking them. And you want to definitely prepare and as you're preparing, you want to prepare with behavioral interviewing questions. And I can also provide that to you all at the end. And I'm sure that I can probably send it over to somebody at Parson. They could forward that interview spreadsheet that I have on the different questions that we use for behavioral based. And then at the end of your interview, you want to make sure that you're collecting business cards, or nowadays, unfortunately, because they don't have business cards, you want to ask them for their email so you can go ahead and send a thank you email. Sometimes the managers won't give it to you, or sometimes the interview ends and you won't have everyone's email addresses. What you can do is reach out to the recruiter who scheduled you for the interview, send that person a nice thank you note and say, can you please forward it along to the rest of the team that I interviewed with? And then also too, you want to remember is that you want to also ask some great questions of the hiring manager. You're there, they're interviewing you, but one thing that you have to remember too, and this is always a really good thing to have in the back of your mind, that you are also interviewing them. Sure, I know you may need a job, you're desperate, you need something right away, but you also want to make sure that this is the right fit for you. So you want to ask smart questions of the hiring manager. For instance, you know, what keeps you at this company? What keeps you at this company, and what's exciting about working here? What is the culture like? So basically things that would pertain to you to make you excited to want to join the team. And then, of course, there's salary negotiations. There's a lot to say about salary negotiations. And right now, I know most of you are just, you know, I hope I even get to the point of interviewing so I can get to a salary negotiation. But these are all really important steps that we need to remember. During a salary negotiation, especially right now with what's going on and companies are furloughing their own employees and they're doing salary decreases across the board, you need to be very flexible. You need to be very realistic. And you also have to remember this job that you're looking for, this job that you're getting is not going to be the job you're going to keep for the rest of your life. You're most likely going to change it in about 2 years or so. So be flexible with the salary they're offering you, but also be realistic and also know your value. And the way you would know your value is you would do some research on Glassdoor, on PayScale, and Indeed. And there's a lot of great resources nowadays. So I know I went pretty fast on this, and that's because I wanted to leave a lot of room for questions and answers. So, and I also wanted to share with you all my LinkedIn profile as well. Let me see if I can do this. So if anybody wants to go on LinkedIn and add me, I'm more than happy to connect with you all and network with you all. And if you need to send me a resume, take a look at something, you have a question that you probably forgot to ask during our conversation today, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help everybody. So I will open it up for questions. I'm sorry, I cannot hear you if someone's speaking.
Hello.
Hello, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I have two quick questions. The first one is, I tried to find you on LinkedIn, but
Yes.
unfortunately, I didn't find you.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder is there with your name, Maryam Ghassemkhani, or another name?
No, it's Maryam Ghassemkhani. And are you able to see the video? I just shared my profile. Let me see if I can share it again.
Can you send it to everyone? That's it.
Let me see why it's not showing up here. Can you see my profile now online?
Yeah, but I don't know why when I search, I cannot.
Okay, if you maybe you're putting in one S.
Oh, might be. Thank you for that.
Okay.
And my second question is, for myself, I have a PhD relevant to mechanical engineering and biomedical engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to find something in biomedical engineering, especially in Bay Area.
Yeah.
I have heard that there are some like headhunters and recruiters that specifically work with the person, and after getting the job, they will take about 20% of the
No,
salary.
no. That do not go to those recruiters at all. At all. I'm so glad that you brought that up. A recruiter is not ever supposed to take money from a candidate, ever. They make their money from the employer. And especially when, let's say, for instance, you get a contract position, they're making money off of you every hour that you're working. So I would highly recommend stay far away from those types of recruiters because they're most likely not legitimate, and they'll probably end up sending you an application to fill out and collect a lot of your personal information.
So, what is the best way to find jobs in research in biomedical companies? Right.
I would say right now the best places, especially biomedical, has become so huge because of COVID. There's quite a lot of companies hiring. What are some of the organizations or companies you've looked at right now that you're looking to?
I had interviews with Medtronic, Johnson and Johnson, Apple, Facebook, all of them. But after that, I found out that for example, for the same position that I was interviewed in Medtronic, there was more than 800 applicants,
Yeah.
800 hungry applicants. So it's
Sure.
very like very low chance. So I wonder what is the best strategy to, like, for
Sure.
example, going to the smaller companies, find a special recruiter, or what's that? There are
Sure.
lots of
Sure.
applicants right now.
Yeah, I would recommend this. First of all, you want to make sure that you're using your network. If you know anybody at these companies that you're looking to go work for, contact those people. And the best way to find them is on LinkedIn or even some of the organizations that you're a part of. Now, you said you're looking for something in the Bay Area.
Um, it might be better Bay Area or California, but I also open to other states. I have some interviewed in Boston and also in
Okay,
other
here's
cities.
what you do. Contact a company by the name of Real Staffing.
Yeah, I was contacted with them several times before.
Okay.
And initial screening, and they said they will talk with the hiring manager, and still waiting for them. So are they good
Yes,
in
they're a very good
biomedical?
organization. Very good organization. Another really good organization is Validant.
Is it possible to share all of those info on the text that all of the person here can use?
Let me see if I can make a list out for you. Let me check it out. Let me put Real Staffing. I'll have to send this to you because I actually, my husband is in the same industry that you're talking
Oh,
about.
great.
And he's has quite a bit of connections within within those industries. There's another company called Black Diamond. So right now, I would say your best bet would be to go and work as a consultant or a contractor, and the hourly rate. And then there's also, if you go on to Career Builder, I don't know if you've shared your resume on Career Builder, you've created a profile, but there's
Yes,
a
I have.
lot of recruiters right now looking for contract people on Career Builder.
Uh, Thank you. I had, and I find your LinkedIn, and if you don't mind, I'm going to send my resume to you.
Sure.
Any kind of help is really appreciated. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I actually have a friend of my husband's who's been working as a contractor for Medtronic, and I think he's only been in the States for like 7 years, and he recently started working for them, and he says they're very good as a consulting or contracting for them. So I can maybe have my husband share your resume with him.
Thank you so much. It would be a great help.
Sure. Sure, absolutely. Any other questions? I have no idea how to navigate this, so if anybody could help me navigate, that would be great.
Also, you can send the list to me, and because I have access to everybody's email, I can send it to all.
Okay, no problem. I can actually, what I could do is I can send it through LinkedIn to Payman, and then he can send it all to you. But I think if there's anybody else who has a question, I can't see them, so I don't know how if there's anybody else who has a question.
Okay, anyone else has a question? You can talk. Everybody can unmute yourself, and you can just talk. That's okay.
Yeah, actually, I have a question.
Sure.
Just wondering, are you working on like clinical research part as well, or only?
I
Sorry, it seems you are in mute. I can't hear
okay,
you.
there we go. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I personally don't recruit for anybody clinical, but there are quite a few clinical positions or recruiters out there that are looking to hire clinical consultants or contractors. So again, my best bet for you would be to go on Career Builder, upload your resume there, look on LinkedIn. And when you're looking for a job on LinkedIn at the companies that you're interested in, look at the people that work for those companies and see if you know anybody, or if any of those people are affiliated with any of the organizations that you're affiliated. And that way you can reach out to those people and ask them to help refer you to the hiring manager or refer you to somebody that you can bypass, for instance, those 200, 300, 400 resumes that are coming through. I hope I answered your question. I'm sorry.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Can I have a quick question as well?
Go ahead. What question do you have?
So I have my PhD in cell biology, and I'm looking for like a R&D position in Orange County.
Uh-huh.
Do you recommend me to like check real staffing and Black Diamond?
Yes, I would. They're very good. And if they can't help you, ask them if they could refer you to other agencies. There are a lot of great agencies, and a lot of them have their positions posted on LinkedIn. And another thing too that you want to do with LinkedIn is you can also search in the search area for LinkedIn. And let me see if I could share that with you all. For instance, let me see if I can share this. If you go up, can you see my profile right now?
Yes.
You see it? Okay. So let's say, for instance, you're looking for R&D, right?
Yes.
R&D engineer, let's say. So that could be a job posting, that could be anything. But what I want to do is I want to go and look in content. This is something that a lot of people don't pay attention to. And a lot of recruiters that are looking for part-time people or for hourly people, they will post on their LinkedIn wall jobs. So when I hit content, it's giving me people that have posted things relating to R&D engineering. So let's say I go up here and I'm going to do R&D engineering contract work.
Oh, well, even if they are not in my like.
Yeah, because some people actually post their jobs, or their postings are visible to everybody. So here we go. You can look over here and you could see our top 5 medical device roles are here. look at this, manufacturing, quality, electrical testing, project scheduler. And then if you look at this one, R&D engineer, medical device, St. Paul, Minnesota. This might be a little bit far for you. I mean, but maybe if you're willing to relocate. And then also for R&D engineers right now, I don't know if you're familiar with EU MDR, but this has become huge to know.
Okay.
This is a new regulation that they are hiring consultants left and right for this EU MDR. And the date or the launch date for this was supposed to be, I believe, this summer, but because of COVID, they've delayed it. So there's plenty of time to find a job with EU MDR.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so this is a lot of the times you forget, you know, because you don't think, oh, it's not going to be in the content, but it actually, you'd be shocked of how many things you can find. So you definitely want to use that to your benefit.
Thank you. And then that would be somebody that I can contact with and talk to, right?
Yes,
So,
you actually, if you want, if you just click on, it says, if you like it, and then leave a comment for them and ask them, you know, to please call me, or send them your email information, or if you've got the LinkedIn Recruiter Premium package, I think they actually give it to you for a little bit of time before they start charging you. You can actually send them an email through LinkedIn. And look at this, senior R&D engineer. Look at that, real staffing. But this is out of this country. But look at, there's a lot of things out here that you can take a look at. Look at Medtronic, but that's in India. But then there's Salt Lake City. You've got Massachusetts. There's a lot of things here.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, good. Anyone else?
Hello.
Hi, I have a question. Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My problem is that I have gap between my graduation and
Okay.
now I'm looking for a job. What's the
Okay.
best strategy to,
Sure.
solve this?
How long
problem?
is your gap?
3 years.
Why is there a gap?
Because of my visa, I couldn't work after my graduation. So
Okay, so
just
you
got my
weren't
green
doing.
card.
Okay, so you got your green card, and during the time that you got your green card, what were you doing?
And I was just working back in remote working with company in Iran. That's all I was doing.
Okay, you can write that actually. You can say, you could put the name of the company and put in
Mhm.
parentheses, remote work while I was waiting for my my visa.
Right. Oh, okay. That's fine because it's not the company inside the States.
Mhm. No, that's fine, because you were in the States. You could
Mhm.
say you were working remotely from the US while you were waiting for your visa to come in, or you were waiting for your social security, or
Okay.
whatever you were waiting for. You can write that. And you
Oh,
can
okay.
also, when you were doing a cover letter, some people do cover letters, some do not. You can mention that, and that's actually a really good thing. You could say, yes, I have a gap, but this is the reason why I have the gap.
Mhm.
It wasn't because you were lazy, you were sitting around not doing anything, you couldn't work.
And one more thing, I cannot connect to your profile. I don't know, it's like private or I don't know
No,
how.
I'm not private at all. Are you sure you're spelling it right?
Yeah, I have your profile, but I cannot connect to you.
Huh. Okay. I don't know why.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe it's private account.
No, it's definitely not private. I think I have like, I don't know, 11, 12,000 people, so it's definitely not private.
Okay. So can I send you a message? Maybe that way I can connect to you. I don't
Sure,
know.
you can send me. Sure.
Sure. And one more question. My major is civil engineering, and what's the best place to search for job? Like, is it LinkedIn or Indeed or what?
I would say for you, I would do all. I would do LinkedIn, I would do Indeed. I would also put my resume on Career Builder and Monster. And then ZipRecruiter as well. ZipRecruiter is a great tool, but right now ZipRecruiter and Indeed bought ZipRecruiter, so they're very similar, and a lot of employers are on both. So either one is fine, but if you want to make sure you get the maximum, I would do all of them.
All of them. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thanks.
Can I ask one more question?
Of course.
Should we put any job which was about 2 months period in our resume? I've heard that anything less than one year is not a good point.
Why was it only 2 months?
Because I wasn't happy with the company. It was a small family-owned company,
Mm-hmm.
so they lots of micromanagement and something like that. So I prefer to go, in fact, from that company.
Okay. So if that was the case, what I would be careful with, if someone asks you why, you don't want to say that it was because they were micromanaging me. I would really stick to more about how the company was doing. So if you want to add that to your resume, you could put in there in parentheses, again, very small family-owned company with not enough funding. And then when you do interview and someone asks you, why did you only stay here for 2 months? You could just say they were very small and I could not see myself growing in that role. And financially, they were not doing well. So I decided to part ways and find something more permanent. And if you feel comfortable saying that, great. If you do not feel comfortable, then you don't have to put it because it was only 2 months.
So we can just remove anything in the short periods in the resume, and it doesn't affect the background check.
It shouldn't affect your background check. What would affect it though is if you have too many gaps. So that's what you have to be very careful with, is when you have way too many gaps, then there becomes a question of what's going on. So some people have a lot of gaps because they're moving around a lot. They move from the East Coast to the West Coast, or from California to Denver, back and forth. So those are valid reasons as to having a gap in your resume, because by the time you move, you get your family situated, it takes time to find a job. But if you are having gaps because unfortunately you weren't getting along with the owner, or there was something personal going on, you want to be very careful with that. And you want to make sure that you don't have like major gaps. And for lots of women, though, this is the one thing that women should know and that are listening. It's okay to take time off and raise your kids. And same thing for the men. I mean, it's if you take some time off to raise your children, you can put that in your resume these days. It's looked on upon as very favorable that between, let's say, for 7 years or 8 years, you have a huge gap. You can put in there that I was an at-home mom or at-home dad, running my household during that time.
And what about simultaneous jobs? For example, working in a company and in the same time being a researcher or part-time researcher or visiting researcher in a university. Could it be a bad symptom that the person do moonlighting or no?
No, because it's not moonlighting when you're only having a part-time job.
But what about two full-time jobs? For example, in Iran,
Uh-huh.
it's very common for people to have two
Full-time
full-time
jobs.
jobs at the same
Yeah,
time.
I would be careful, because if it was let's say if it was a full-time job at a university setting, it's probably not as intense as if you were to be well, let's say you got a job at Medtronic and then you got a job at Johnson and Johnson. There's no way to do those both full-time.
Yeah, that's
Impossible,
correct.
right? Because you have to
Yeah, I
physically
mean
be at both.
one university and the other one industry.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Anyone else?
Hi.
Hello.
I have a question. I've already get an associate degree as a MA, medical assistant, and EKG technician as well. But I don't know how I can start for getting a job, finding that one, or interview. I'm scared for started that one. And I don't know which point is the best for started for finding the job.
Sure. You mean which one, which job or which website? I mean, what do you mean by which one?
Both of them. I'm confused. How can I start for the use of this degree that I try for?
What I would do in your case is I would make 2 resumes, one for each degree that you got. And then, I mean, you could put both degrees on each resume, but then and then gear it more towards the EKG one or the medical assistant one. But you don't want to just say in there, I'm looking for I'm looking for a job as an assistant or an EKG technician. You don't want to put all those different things in there. You want to make sure you are very selective, because when you start putting in too many things, the employer gets confused as to what do you really want to do. So in your case, what I would say is if you know of anyone that works at any of these places, at any of these laboratories, or if you know of anybody that works in a doctor's office, so you can at least get your foot in the door, I would say maybe talk to them, because a lot of these small doctor's offices, they're really not posting anything online. It's just word of mouth that they're hiring.
Oh yeah. What about the clinical position or something like that?
Lots of clinical positions these days are requiring a bachelor's degree. When you are looking at a job application, a job description, and if it says required and you don't have it, then don't bother applying, because it will for sure be a requirement. And the other thing that's very important, just for everyone to know, because it's happened to myself time and time again, is that if you say you have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a PhD, and they go and they try to verify it and they can't verify it, they will rescind your offer. Or if they can't verify it now, within 3 or 4 months, they will verify it and you will lose your job if it's exactly not completed. I had a recent example of a lady we made an offer to. She thought she had gotten her bachelor's degree because she finished all of her schooling. She had 5 credits that didn't go through, and because of those 5 credits, she did not get her bachelor's degree. And unfortunately, we had to rescind her offer.
Oh yeah. So I don't have any chance for looking in the LinkedIn or something like that?
No, you could look at LinkedIn, might be a little bit harder. I would say your best bet would be Indeed, and also Career Builder. I think there's a lot of jobs that are probably what you're Indeed. I've seen a lot of different things in regards to medical assistant or medical practices. But honestly, if you know friends that work in the medical industry, letting them know that you're looking for a job, that might be a big help, so they can help get your foot in the door. Because again, a lot of these doctors' offices want to hire people that their office personnel already know.
By walking, your meaning is by walking? Go there?
I mean, do you know anybody who works in a doctor's office?
No.
You don't. Okay. Maybe, I mean, if you're ever in an area where you're close to a big building, and maybe if you walk in, I don't think that should be a problem to ask if they're hiring, or calling them. You don't have to walk in, just call the doctor's offices. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to assist you and say yes or no if they're looking for somebody. So that way that saves you the trip of having to walk in and exposing yourself to any viruses right now.
What about throughout the site, in the website or something like that?
Yeah, there's I haven't really seen any doctors' websites that post jobs on there. If they're going to post anything, they'll probably post it on Indeed, or I've seen some posted on Craigslist, but Craigslist I'm a little bit shaky over.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Hi, this is Bahar.
Hi, Bahar.
Hi. Thank you for having this session, by the way. I just had some questions. Sure. I have a question that is, I have my degree, and it's not from state, so I want to know how much does that play a role if we're finding a job?
What is your degree in?
My degree, I mean, I have 2 masters. One is information technology management, and the other one is like business management. And one is from Iran, and the other one is from Switzerland. But I was having difficulties finding a job, so I wanted to know first if that plays a role, and I need to get a degree or a certificate or something.
No. I think you don't need to go to any more school. You're good. And your degrees are wonderful. And yes, they are going to look at them and say that they're great. And as long as you also have, you're able to verify them and get them translated here. But what I was going to ask you is, what kind of job are you looking for?
I was looking mostly for market research jobs. And because I had some experience in Iran, and also I had some research background, so that's and it's a topic that I like. So I was looking for market research jobs mostly. But,
and are you looking for entry level, or were you looking for something at a higher level?
I started to looking from entry level, but because I figured that it's they use the market research companies, they usually promote from inside, and it's a little bit more difficult for like a higher level. So I started to looking from the entry level job. So I don't know if that's a problem or
on your resume, do you have a lot of positions on your resume that are high level? Like, for instance, your work experience, do you have big titles on there?
No, not necessarily. No.
Okay. Do you want to send me your resume? Have you connected with me on LinkedIn?
I'm going to do it afterwards. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Send it to me and remind me who you are, and let me take a look at it, because sometimes I know, you've got a great degree. We're very, you're very proud of what you've gotten, but unfortunately, sometimes we have to kind of, as they say, and I hate to use this word, it's called dumb it down. And that is to take away some of those larger titles so you can kind of get your foot in the door. And a lot of the times too, when we put large titles in there, the employer's thinking, oh my gosh, this person's going to want so much money, I can't afford them. So unfortunately, sometimes you need to take a couple of steps backwards to really prove yourself to then excel.
Yeah. And one more question. While I was looking for a job, I started to work as a teller in the bank. So do you think I should still put that, or because it's an unrelated job, I should take it out?
I wouldn't put that in there. I would really be careful. And that's another thing too with your resumes. You want to make sure that you're gearing it towards the job description, especially today with the way that that employers are looking at applications. There are so many more applications. I mean, we went from having no applications and begging and pleading for people to take our jobs now to having too many applications with too many wonderful candidates that we can no longer hire. So what you want to do is to make sure that when you are reading the job description, if it says they're requiring certain languages, let's say with computers, or certain research terminology that they're using, you want to make sure that you give examples of that in your resume as well.
Okay. And so what should I do with the gap that I have in my resume then? Because if I don't put it, then I'm going to have a gap in it.
How long is your gap?
It's going to be almost a year.
Okay. Almost a year, which basically means you probably started looking for something right around what, the beginning of the year?
Last year.
Last year. So you moved here last year?
I moved here on August 2018.
August 2018, okay.
And then, I mean, I was in Iran for a couple of years before that, and I moved here almost August 18. And then I looked a little bit, and then I started to work as a teller in the bank, and I was still looking and going to interviews and everything. But then, I mean, I stopped for a while and then started to looking again. And then, I'm looking actively, but there was like some pause between.
Yeah, what I would do is probably take it out of your resume and instead put it maybe in your cover letter to say that while you've been looking for the right opportunity, you've been working part-time jobs, and due to COVID, it's been a little bit of a difficult time finding an opportunity. A lot of companies right now, because of what has happened, I mean, we're not even caring if someone lost their job or they have a gap for like a year, because we know that the economy tanked. So it's not as, I mean, like maybe if it was last year, that was a problem. We would say, okay, why is there such a big gap? But right now with things that are going on, we're a lot more forgiving.
And my last question, sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
And what platforms do you recommend me to look more for jobs in it?
I'm sorry, where is that?
What are the best platforms for me to look for a job? And
I would say Indeed. Indeed would be good, and also LinkedIn would be good. And just like I showed you how to do that content search, do that content search. You might be surprised. A lot of people don't do that, and it's actually, you find a lot of jewels in there. And even if you don't find exactly the job you're looking for, and you find, let's say for instance, something similar, you may want to just contact that recruiter anyway. And that's for everybody. I mean, if you do that content search and they're hiring engineers or they're hiring somebody for quality or somebody, you know, for software quality or software design, but they're not hiring at your level, you still may want to contact that recruiter and say, you know, I'm looking for a job. Here's my resume. Do you have anything available?
Perfect. And do you also know any staffing agency in this area by any chance?
You don't really need to have them in this area because the staffing agencies that you're going to be working with, they could be anywhere. And also there's a lot of
great I mean in
staffing.
This area of business, like market research.
Yeah, I personally don't, because that's something I haven't ever tapped into. But I think if you do a search, that content search I was telling you about, you might come across some recruiters very quickly that you can become a part of their network and ask them if they have anything available.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sure.
That was all.
Anyone else? I've got 8 people on this group here that want to connect with me, so I will definitely add you all.
Excuse me.
Yes.
One more question about the medical assistant. Yeah,
sure.
I have any experience right now. I have any chance to start the job right now without any experience or not? How explain I don't have any experience in there?
Yeah, you have the degree. The school you went to, do they have a career office?
Excuse me?
The school that you got your certificate from, do they have a career office? Do they have someone in their career center?
No, we don't have.
You don't have it.
I got this degree in college.
Okay, so you would have to, yes, you would have to contact your college then. Contact your career center at your college and see if you can speak to somebody there and let them know, I received this certificate from your school. Because a lot of the times people forget, when you go to school and you pay all this money to get an education, they're required to help you to find a job now. So you need to make sure that you contact them and you let them know that I am looking for a job, I'm struggling, how can you help me? Is there anything that you have available or that you might know of? Because a lot of the times employers do go to the universities and say that I'm looking for people. And then if they do have people available, they connect them.
I got it, but I don't have any pay money for get this one. This is free. It was free for me. Yeah.
But didn't you go to school though?
I don't have pay for the studying.
So how did you get it?
It's free. It's a program for adult education and it was free.
But what school was it from?
Pierce College.
Okay, so you need to contact Pierce College. And tell them and talk to them in the career center. And tell them that you got a certificate from their school and that you're looking for a job and you don't have any experience. Yeah, because they should be able to help guide you, and maybe they might have some things available or some leads available. And again, if you don't have any experience at all, it's going to be very difficult without knowing somebody and in some of those places that you're looking for a job.
Exactly. Yeah. You're
but
right.
but you shouldn't give up. You should not give up. I mean, you did a lot. You got these certificates. It's very important, but you also need to make sure that you are talking to your university, call some doctor's offices that are close by to you. I don't know if you, you know, you take your family, whoever your family doctor is or your pediatrician is, or I'm sure that you know of some doctors in the area. You can maybe call their offices and say, are they hiring?
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye. Anyone else?
Sorry, just last question.
Sure.
I wonder if nowadays, based on this situation happened, usually companies somehow we should apply for some jobs that we are much more like I mean like we are very overqualified for them.
Yes.
Or somehow like they want to hire us in very lower level and pay very lower.
Yes, I would say if they do that, take it.
Really?
Yes, absolutely take it, because right now having a job is better than not having any job. And what you really need is to get your foot in the door into a good company. You need to establish yourself. Once you've established yourself and you start to grow, it's that one job, the one main job that you have to get to be able to get your next best job. And so when you have all this experience and they hire you at a lower level, little by little, they will see you have the capability and the knowledge to do more. Then they start to give you more. And as you get more, you get recognized more. So don't shy away for something that's a little bit lower level or less pay. But I would say don't work for free. I mean, definitely do your research and find out what the going rate is, how much they should be paying you. And if they are paying you significantly less, then you would have to counter offer them and say that I am available for this dollar amount.
Right. Yeah, well, my problem was like in my previous job that I just got hired like contract base, and then because of the COVID, although we were fully billable and full-time, had full-time job, but somehow they took our job to give to their permanent staff. So
a lot of companies did that. That was the first thing my company did. As soon as March, the end of March hit, they laid off every single one of our contractors.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate and kind of very unfair.
Yes.
But anyhow, I mean, I am very experienced, but I really find that these markets very somehow crazy to
it is. It's a very crazy time, and unfortunately we have to have a lot of patience, because you have to also think about this too. Just like you lost your job, or a lot of people have lost their jobs or they've been furloughed, a lot of these recruiters have lost their jobs or they've been furloughed, and a lot of companies may still have these job postings up, but what they're doing is they're not hiring fast enough, because they have to make sure that, can I afford to bring this person on board? Can I afford to move them along in the process? Unfortunately, there have been so many cases where people almost got close to getting a job, and then because of what happened with COVID, they didn't get the job. So you need to be very patient. You cannot be, it's very difficult to not get depressed and not feel like, oh my God, am I ever going to find anything? You will find something. The market is definitely picking up again. I've noticed that quite a bit in the last 2 weeks. Companies are looking at hiring again, but again, we need to be very flexible. We need to know that there's a lot of other people applying just like you are. Is there any way that you can contact someone that you were working with before you were laid off?
Yeah, sure. I do have their contact information, and they actually were kind of very upset that this happened, because it was the whole contract people, no matter of their role and how well it was. Actually, they promised me the week before to offer me the permanent position. Suddenly whole the department just got
what company was this with?
I was working with PPD, pharmaceutical product development.
Oh, very nice. And okay. And then do they have any positions posted online right now?
Well, they start to put position, but they are very downgrade for me. Let's say I am senior CRA, clinical research associate, but they recruit for the entry level CRAs and the CRA one.
Okay. What I would do then is definitely contact your previous manager, the person that you were talking about that was very upset that they let the contractors go, and let him know that you're available and you really want to come back and work for the company because it's such a great company, and give him a reason why you want to come back. And you would be surprised. Sometimes, you know, some companies can make little adjustments to bring somebody in at a higher level if they feel they can afford them and if it's the right fit.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so don't give up on that company, because if you left a good name for yourself, you left a good brand, don't give up on them.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Sure. Good luck.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
So I just send a message to you about my. It would be nice if you just check them and reply to us later. And I really want to thank you for your hints today. It was really helpful for myself. It was something that you cannot find them on internet or any other place.
Sure. Absolutely. My pleasure. I love doing this because I know how difficult it is to navigate. And unfortunately, we hear lots of stories and we hear a lot of information, just too much information from other people. And it's always good to talk to somebody who's actually living the life. I recruit people on a daily basis. I mean, so many people, hundreds of people a year, and in different types of roles. So I definitely know what we're looking for. And the other thing that, I mean, you have to be just, I know it's a very, very difficult time right now. And I can't stress this enough when I say it's going to get better. Be patient and don't let this bring you down, and just be positive about this, because it will happen. The market will go back. We're going to be fluctuating a lot from now until the next couple of years, until things become more stable. But be patient, be positive, and just don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your job. Don't give up on everything around you, because it will get better. I promise.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We all hope to. So
it will. It will. Believe me, I've lived through the bad times. I mean, I lived through the 2008 market crash. I mean, nothing is like this. This happened overnight, literally overnight. Our entire economy crashed. But during the down times of 2008, I was recruiting, and at that time, the job market was amazing. Right before that, and in a very short amount of time, we went from having not enough people to fill jobs to having people begging for jobs, and we didn't have any to fill. So it gets better. It will get better.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you. Have a good day.
Sure. Thank you. Good luck. Any other questions from anybody before we head on out today?